Hi, this is Joel for TalkSeries.nl on our first season 2 recap for the episode The North Remembers. And wow, the long wait is over. I think every Game of Thrones fan was happy to finally, after months and months of waiting, seeing a new episode. And for the most part, I think it really did live up to all its expectations. The ratings were definitely pretty good. So all in all, I think yeah, we should be really happy for Game of Thrones being back. Having said that, I want to let you know up front that first I'm going to recap the episode. After that, in the final segment of this recap, I'm going to talk about the five things I like the most about this episode and compare them to Pearson Moore. Most of you Game of Thrones fans already know who he is. He is a writer and he writes essays for Game of Thrones. He used to write essays and books on Lost. His episode 1 essay is already on Winter is Coming. So if you haven't read that, check it out. It's some really deep and serious stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare my 5 things about episode 1 to his and let you know what I think about episode 1. But first things first, let's start with the beginning of episode 1, The North Remembers. Well, the episode started with, of course, with our favorite villain, King Joffrey, and on his name day tourney, we see the Hound, battering some unknown knight and killing him, and it's interesting to see. After that, we see, of course, the first appearance of Sir Dantos. The book readers know who he is, and Sir Dantos arrives late and a little bit tipsy, so it seems. Joffrey offers him a drink, which at first sounds good to Sir Dantos, but when the King's Guard forces him down and try to force an entire barrel of wine into his stomach, I think he didn't really enjoy that. Um, Sansa saves his life by suggesting to Joffrey to make him his fool instead of killing him on his name day, which is bad luck. Um, King Joffrey agrees. After that, we see the appearance of our favorite, most people's favorite character, which is Tyrion. Tyrion arrives and directly steals the show with his sarcasm. He gives his sympathies to Sansa for her loss, which Joffrey doesn't like, of course. And after that, he quickly, after saying hi to his nephew and his niece, he goes to the small council, which is a hilarious scene. Cersei, of course, is not really happy to see her brother. And during the meeting of the small council, he comes in whistling and then takes a seat on the council. Cersei wants to know what on earth he's doing there. And, he says that he's been named Hand of the King and hands over proof of it to Varys. Varys isn't even finished with reading the letter from Lord Tywin when Cersei screams everybody and tells everybody to leave. Everybody does so, and Tyrion discusses things with his sister, which is a very interesting scene because immediately Tyrion lets know Cersei that she's basically made a mess out of things. Uh, Especially when she tells him that she's also lost Arya. Um, in the end, she accepts his temporary appointment as acting Hand of the King, only if he acknowledges that Joffrey is king and his only place is to advise, which he does. And that's basically the scene at the small council. Next up, we go to Winterfell, where Bran needs to do his duties as Lord of Winterfell. He sits on the table with in court with Meister Lewin, and basically his subjects are complaining about lots of stuff. First and foremost about the upkeeping of a certain holdfast. Um, Brad doesn't really like their attitude and reminds them that Rob is king and reminds them of their vows. Meister Lewin is actually a little bit more forthcoming and promises that certain lord that he can have a couple of masons to look after his holdfast, and Bran isn't too happy about that. But Maester Luwin reminds Bran that as Lord of Winterfell, you also need to talk to people that you don't want to talk to. Then we see the first wolf dream. I think we see in the show of Bran. We see his direwolf Summer looking at the comet first and then walking to a puddle, and then we see the direwolf in reflection. I must say the CGI looks pretty good. Um, Up in the east, we see Daenerys with the people struggling to the Red Waste. Dany tries to feed one of her dragons, but the dragon doesn't eat anything. All she knows from Viserys, her brother, is that they eat meat, but she has no idea what kind of meat. Her people look pretty desperate, and then her horse Silver basically breaks down. Jorah and Dany rush to the animal, and Jorah nods that well, probably it's the end of the road for the animal. And no, Dany is not happy about that, of course, because it's her first the first gift she received from Khal Drogo, and things suck all over basically. Dany is pretty desperate. Then she sends her blood riders, each to their own way, to look for cities, rivers, ruins, and other people. That's basically her last hope, because she has to know how far the red way stretches. And she has a quick one-on-one with one of her blood riders. I forget his name right now. But anyway, you see that there is a sort of affection between the two. Not that I say that there's more going on, but she appreciates him and he appreciates her. And he said it's a bad time to let him down, because he never has up until now. Up north, north of the wall, we see the Night Watch coming to Craster's Keep. Also a scene that book readers were looking forward to. Craster is an old wildling who lives there with his daughters, who are his wives. And it's pretty disgusting, of course. Lord Commander Mormont goes inside with a few of the Night Watch, because he wants to know where all the wildlings have gone, because all the wildling villages in the neighborhood of Craster's Keep are all deserted. Craster wants to have, of course, something in return for his advice, so he gets some Dornish wine and some other stuff. But then Jon speaks out of line, and then Craster says that there are Southerners. Craster seems to have it in for Jon, and tells him that he will poke his eyes out if he stares at one of his wives for too long. Mormon tells Jon to sit down and shut up, and then he tells him that the king beyond the wall, Mance Rayder, has assembled all of the wildlings up north. Mormon says why, what he's going to do with all those wildlings, and then Craster says, when you're all up north, there's only one way to march, and that's south, of course. So that's that doesn't look too good. In Dragonstone, we meet Stannis for the first time, and the Red Witch, Melisandre. Well, we have heard a lot about Stannis, of course, during the first season, but never seen him on screen. We see them on the beach burning the Seven, and Melisandre, of course, is for the Lord of Light. And the ceremony, she says that Stannis is the new leader, the chosen one of the Lord of Light. He pulls a burning sword out of the fire, and like I said, she says he is the chosen one, and he will bring Westeros out of darkness. That's basically what he's going to do. Maester Crescent isn't too fond of the Lord of Light, and he pleads with the people, to not forsake the gods of their ancestors. But no one listens to him, and then he basically gives up. When people leave the beach, he pleads with Davos, the smuggler and the trustee of Stannis, to tell the truth to King Stannis. But he says, what truth? He says, we need to follow our king, because Stannis is king, even if we do not like the path. And that's basically it. Inside, he's making a declaration because one of the mistakes Stannis says that Ned Stark made was only telling him about the fact that Robert had no true-born sons. So he's making a declaration in which he declares himself as true king of Westeros and says that the children of Robert, including Joffrey, are bastards and inbreds of incest between Jaime and Cersei. It also is a funny scene because we see, how stern and sour Stannis really is. Because the one writing the declaration says "beloved brother," which Stannis wants taken out because he didn't love his brother and his brother didn't love him. So Stannis really shows his stern, how stern he is during the drawing up of the declaration. Let's see. After that, also Master Crescent said that they need to, team up with Renly or with Robb Stark, and together they can destroy the Lannisters. And after that, they can settle things with Renly or with Robb Stark. Stannis says that he doesn't want to, because he's the only rightful heir to the throne, and everybody that is his enemy and doesn't acknowledge him is a thief, and is going to destroy them. Melisandre states that the Lord of Light is only support Stannis will need, and the Lord of Light doesn't need ships and doesn't need armies to their defense. So Maester Crescent desperately, tries to make Stannis see the futility of their plans, but Stannis doesn't listen. Then he tries to poison Melisandre by saying that he hasn't seen the error of his ways, and basically he wants to do a toast to the Lord of Light. Before that, we see him do something in the glass. He raises the glass, takes a sip, and then hands over the glass to Melisandre. Melisandre watches him as the poison starts to work. Then she drains the glass, and Master Crescent basically drops dead on the floor. And then she basically said, "Poor old man." But the poison had no effect whatsoever on Melisandre. And then we see Robb, who still has Jaime captive, and basically Jaime has this conversation with Robb, and Robb basically tries to trick. Jaime tries to trick Robb into just keeping him in a holdfast or in a castle. Well, Robb knows full well how far the power of Lord Tywin goes, so he doesn't agree to do anything like that. After their verbal sparring, Grey Wind also comes visiting Jaime. You see that Grey Wind is huge. I love the CGI right there, and you see that Jaime doesn't really have a thing for dire rules, and who can blame him? Later, you see Robb in his tent with Alton Lannister. He gives his peace terms to the Lannister prisoner. First, he says that he wants the bones of his father and all the people of his household to be returned to the north, so they can have proper burials, burials, of course. After that, he says that the Lannisters and the king, King Joffrey, was to forsake all dominion and claim to the north. And if they ever set foot there again, it will be punishable by death. Alton tries to, say that those terms will be unacceptable, but Robb says these are my terms, and he says that he will ride it for his life. Theon tries to explain to Robb that the Lannisters will reject his terms, and that the only way to end the war is to take King's Landing, and they can't take King's Landing without ships. Theon offers to go to his father, Balon Greyjoy, because they have like over 200 ships. Robb is reluctant, of course, because, like we all know, Lord Balon has rebelled against his father. Later, when Robb talks to his mother, Catelyn, about calling Lord Balon for help, she reminds him that the Lord of the Iron Islands has rebelled against his father, and that he's not trustworthy, and that they should try to get Arya and Sansa back. Rob says he can't do that, and he sends his mother to go to Renly because he has over 100,000 men, and with an alliance between the two, they outnumber the Lannisters. They can crush them between them. Back in King's Landing, Cersei talks to Joffrey, and Joffrey confronts his mother with rumors about incest. Cersei says, well, the enemies will come with all kinds of stories to weaken his claim to the throne. Joffrey continues to be a total jerk, of course. Then Joffrey confronts his mother about all the bastards and all the other women his father supposedly slept with. And angered, Cersei slaps Joffrey in the face. He is totally astonished and flabbergasted because what she did is punishable by death, which he reminds his mother of, and he warns her that she will never do something like that again. The look on her face is really telling because she knows what kind of monster her own son can be, so she's totally terrified about the repercussions of her actions. But he lets her off with a stern warning. After that, we go to one of the whorehouses of Littlefinger. Lord Commander of the Night Watch, Jaina Slynt, is with the City Watch in search of all the bastard children of King Robert. They find Barra, who is a baby, and Lord Commander Slynt orders one of his men to kill the baby. He can't, and then he does it himself. Also, we see Ross there, but most people don't like her, of course. Then we see the City Watch tracking down several bastards and murdering them. And after that, we see, I think, Lord Slynt questioning one of the, actually the smith that Gendry used to work for. And after torturing him, he reveals that he's with the Night Watch traveling north. And the episode finishes with a shot of Arya and Gendry heading north, with Yoren and the other people. Well, that's about the North remembers. One thing I forgot is a confrontation between Cersei and Littlefinger, where Littlefinger basically threatens Cersei by saying no, it's his power, and he knows about, of course, the incest and the fact that she has no true-born children. But then she demonstrates that not knowledge is power, but power is power, as she orders the guards to kill him, but then say, "Oh no, I changed my mind," which is a pretty telling scene. That Cersei, wants to show Littlefinger, "Shut up, and I have power. Just do what I want." And she sends Littlefinger to track down Arya. All in all, I really liked the episode. But it was on the short side, well, on a feeling-wise, because you waited for months and months, I think 9 months or up to 10 months for a new episode, and so much happens, but it doesn't feel rushed at all. But when the episode was finished, I was like, no, another week, to wait for a new episode, which basically sucks. I love Alan Taylor, the director, and great episode all around. Then to the final part of this recap, which is the 5 best things about the episode. First is best scene. Pearson Moore. Pearson, best scene, he mentions the slaughter of the innocents, and Cersei's lesson on power were very powerful scenes. But his favorite scene was Tyrion at the small council. I myself must agree with Tyrion at the small council. That's also my best scene of episode 1. Best quote, he says, Pearson says, Melisandre's priestly mantra, "The night is dark and full of terror," because the phrase nicely summed up the entire episode. I need to go for best quote for Tyrion at the small council after they have left, confronting Cersei with her failures, in which he says, "We had 3 Starks to trade. You chopped one head off and lost another. How does it feel to be the disappointing child?" That's my best quote for this episode. Most interesting development Pearson goes with the slaughter of the innocents, King Robert's bastard, which was a nice setup to a pivotal scene in episode 2 and will have repercussions throughout season 2. Um, I agree, but for me it's a draw also with Rob's scene in when he gives his terms to Alton Lannister, because we really see him coming into a role as King of the North, or King in the North, which he himself and his now which his subjects like to say. And I really think it's a powerful scene because we really see Rob growing up. He's really becoming a king in himself. So I really liked him to end up on the Iron Throne. So that's also a powerful scene for me. Of most interesting development for me is King Rob using his power and becoming a king and a real king in the North. The most interesting character, Pearson says, most interesting new character is Melisandre. Now the established character is Robb Stark. Um, Especially in his regal bearing, and he was unperpetuated by even the Kingslayer, which he a little bit admired in first meeting him. He admired him a little bit. I say most interesting character was Lord Tyrion, because when he confronted his sister at the small council, I really loved that scene, and so yeah, I go to most interesting character is Lord Tyrion. Then best visual, Pearson goes for the opening scene, which is a celebration of Joffrey's name day in the Red Keep. The scene said so much, he said, because the fights could not be held outside the city walls, since Joffrey would have had feared assassins. Even the city was not safe, so the revelry had to take place within the claustrophobic confines of the Red Keep itself. The entire scene was nicely done. That's what Pearson said. My best visual is, which Pearson also mentions, is the Red Comet. Why? Because actually I think the first book in the series mentions the comet. So I love the way the comet looked, and it was such an important visual. So that's why, for me, people hated that we never saw the comet during season 1. So I'm really happy that they put in the comet in season 2. So yeah, I have to go for best visual. Is for me is the comet, with also with an honorable mention to the CGI dire wolves. That's it for my first recap of season 2, The North Remembers. Please remember to read Pearson Moore's essays on Winter is Coming, and go to pearsonmoore.net for more interesting essays of season 1, and also his mentions of his essays for Lost. So his personal website is pearsonmoore.net, and his his Game of Thrones website is Winterfell Keep. I think .net, but could be .com as well. So thank you is maybe a little bit, how do you say that? Well, it's my first episode recap, so I try to improve, of course, but I hope you like it and you're interested also in the input of Pearson Moore. I hope you tune in next week. This time a little bit late, but I aim for having the recaps up every Wednesday. So make sure to check it out. You can find them here on our YouTube channel, so please follow us, or you can see them on TalkSeries.nl on the top of the website. Again, thank you for listening. And if you have questions for me or for Pearson, please let us know, and then we come back to them in every recap, and maybe in Ask Pearson, Ask Joel segment of the show, of the recap. So please let us know what you think about the recaps, give us pointers, and ask us questions. We'll try to handle as much questions as we can. English is not my native language, so please bear with me, but I hope you like our recaps. If you love Pearson, then ask him questions and read his essays. And well, that's about it. Thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you guys next week.